Welcome to another descent into nuclear nightmare wastelanders. Today we're exploring what happens when humanity's greatest atomic sin takes physical form in the Capital Wasteland. When a living nuclear god emerges to feed on our irradiated world, you're about to witness Godzilla rise from beneath megaton's soil, transform the children of Atom into living radiation, shatter Liberty Prime, and force every faction from the NCR to Caesar's Legion to unite against an unstoppable atomic horror. You'll see the Brotherhood's greatest weapon crumble, the Institute's science fail, and the very GECKs meant to restore life become weapons of reality-breaking mutation. This is the testimony of someone who watched the Capital Wasteland die twice. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. The ground split open near Megaton that morning. Not from a bomb this time, something far older was waking up. I was scavenging near the crater when the earth started trembling. The Geiger counter on my Pip-Boy went haywire. The needle slammed past the red zone and kept going. Then the screen cracked. The device died completely. That had never happened before, not even in the glowing sea. The first spine broke through the soil like a black monument. Then another, and another, each one stood taller than a super mutant behemoth. The earth around them turned to glass from the heat. The air itself seemed to burn. Lucas Sims came running from Megaton's gates. He took one look at those spines rising from the earth and dropped to his knees. I'd never seen the sheriff show fear before, not when raiders attacked, not when deathclaws hunted near the walls, but this was different. The thing that emerged from that crater made Liberty Prime look like a child's toy. 300 feet of ancient rage and nuclear hunger stood before us. Its skin was black as the void between stars. Scars covered its hide, each one glowing with green atomic fire. The radiation pouring off its body killed the grass for miles around. Birds fell from the sky, their bodies cooking before they hit the ground. When it roared, windows shattered in Megaton. The sound traveled all the way to Rivet City. The Brotherhood of Steel responded first. 3 vertibirds came screaming across the wasteland within the hour. Elder Maxson himself was leading them. They opened fire with everything they had. Laser rifles, plasma cannons, mini nukes. The creature barely noticed. It turned its massive head toward the vertibirds and breathed. Not fire, something worse. Pure atomic energy erupted from its maw. The vertibirds didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist. The pilot's shadows burned into the sky itself. Maxson's voice came through on every radio frequency. He called it Godzilla, said his scribes found references in pre-war Japanese archives. A living nuclear reactor, a god born from atomic sin. The creature moved toward the ruins of DC. Each footstep left pools of green glass. Ghouls started following it, not attacking, following, worshipping. Their bodies healed in its presence. Ferals became lucid again. The radiation that created them now gave them clarity. I watched Harold, that ghoul with the tree growing from his head, walk straight into Godzilla's radiation field. The tree on his head bloomed instantly, bore fruit, then burned away to nothing. Harold laughed the entire time. He said it felt like coming home. The children of Atom went insane with joy. They'd been waiting for this moment their entire lives. Their true god had finally arrived. Not some abstract concept of division, but a living engine of atomic power. They gathered at Megaton's bomb crater, now transformed into a lake of molten glass. Mother Maya led them in prayer. They called Godzilla the Alpha and Omega of atoms, the beginning and end of all nuclear truth. When Godzilla reached the Potomac, it stopped. It lowered its massive head to the irradiated water and drank. The river level dropped by 3 feet. Steam rose from its body in clouds that blocked out the sun. 3 Dog's emergency broadcast reached every corner of the Capital Wasteland. He warned everyone to stay away, said the radiation levels would kill a human in seconds, but people came anyway. Raiders, settlers, even super mutants. They all wanted to see the impossible made real. The Enclave made their move on the second day. Colonel Autumn himself commanded the assault. They deployed their entire arsenal, orbital strikes from their hidden satellite network, Hellfire armor units, even their experimental Tesla cannons. Godzilla absorbed every attack. The energy weapons only fed it. Its dorsal plates glowed brighter with each strike. When it had taken enough, it released all that stored energy in a single pulse. The shockwave flattened buildings for miles. The Enclave base at Raven Rock cracked open like an egg. Their precious computers melted into slag. But the worst part wasn't the destruction. It was what happened to the survivors. Anyone caught in that energy pulse changed, not into ghouls, Not into super mutants, something new. Their bodies crystallized from the inside out. They became living atomic batteries, walking reactors that poisoned everything they touched. The Brotherhood started calling them Atomites, the first new form of radiation mutation in 200 years. Confessor Cromwell from the Church of Atom declared it a miracle. He said Godzilla was dividing them all, splitting humanity like atoms to create infinite possibilities. The worthy would become Atomites. The unworthy would burn away. Raiders from Evergreen Mills tried to control Godzilla. They set up a massive Brahmin offering. 50 head of cattle, all irradiated from grazing near Vault 87. They thought they could tame it like a pet, make it their weapon against the other gangs. Godzilla consumed the Brahmin in seconds. The radiation in their meat only made it stronger. Its dorsal plates grew another 10 feet. But it didn't serve the raiders. It simply moved on, leaving them to fight over the crystallized bones. Have you ever wondered what would happen if humanity's nuclear sins took physical form? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in seeing Godzilla as karma itself. The Institute sent synths to study it. Gen 3 models designed to withstand extreme radiation. They got close enough to take tissue samples before Godzilla noticed them. Its tail swept through their formation like a scythe through wheat. But the synths didn't die normally. The radiation corrupted their programming. They became feral like mechanical ghouls. They started hunting humans, screaming binary code as they attacked. By the third day, the Capital Wasteland had changed completely. Radiation storms followed in Godzilla's wake. The very air became toxic. Power armor became mandatory for survival. The Brotherhood controlled the only stockpiles, forcing desperate survivors to join or die. Liberty Prime was finally deployed on day 4, the Brotherhood's ultimate weapon against their ultimate threat. The giant robot marched from the Citadel, spouting anti-communist propaganda that now seemed meaningless. Democracy versus atomic godhood. Freedom versus nuclear transcendence. The two titans met at the Lincoln Memorial. Liberty Prime threw the first punch, its mechanical fist connecting with Godzilla's jaw. The impact shattered every window in a 5-block radius. Godzilla responded by grabbing the robot's arm and pulling. Hydraulics screamed. Metal tore like paper. Liberty Prime's severed arm crashed through the memorial's pillars. Hydraulic fluid sprayed like blood across the marble steps. The robot tried to activate its eye lasers, but Godzilla's atomic breath hit first. The beam carved through Liberty Prime's chestplate. Its nuclear core exploded. The blast should have leveled the city. Instead, Godzilla absorbed it. Every joule of energy flowed into its body. Its eyes blazed brighter. Its dorsal plates extended like wings of atomic fire. Liberty Prime's broken shell collapsed into the reflecting pool, still muttering corrupted audio about Chinese invasion. Sarah Lyons led the Pride on a suicide mission that night. They knew they couldn't kill it. They just wanted to redirect it away from the settlements. They used modified Fat Man launchers, firing mini-nukes in sequence to create a trail of radiation leading toward the glowing sea. Godzilla followed the trail for 3 miles. Then it stopped, turned around. It understood the deception. When it roared, Sarah's power armor seized up. Every soldier in the Pride collapsed as their fusion cores overloaded. They didn't die. The radiation transformed them into something between human and machine. Techno-ghouls fused with their own armor, still alive, still aware, unable to remove the metal that had become their skin. The NCR sent ambassadors on day 5. They'd heard the reports and wanted to negotiate. They offered Godzilla territory, its own nation where it could rule without human interference. Ambassador Crocker himself made the journey from New Vegas. Godzilla didn't acknowledge them. It simply walked through their convoy. The Brahmin carriages melted. The guards' weapons turned to slag in their hands. Crocker survived by pure chance, hidden behind a lead-lined cargo container. He reported back that negotiation was impossible. You can't make treaties with natural disasters. Caesar's legion arrived next. Legate Lanius himself led 500 soldiers across the wasteland. They viewed Godzilla as a test from Mars, the god of war. They would prove their strength by hunting the ultimate prey. The legion's melee weapons shattered against Godzilla's hide. Their throwing spears melted before impact. Lanius charged with his sword, screaming about honor and victory. Godzilla's foot came down. The legate vanished beneath tons of radioactive flesh. When the foot lifted, only a man-shaped crater of glass remained. The legion retreated, but not before half their number had been transformed into Atomites. These crystallized soldiers still obeyed orders, but their touch killed their own brothers. Caesar would later call it divine punishment for their hubris. Dr. Lee at Project Purity had a different plan. She theorized that Godzilla needed radiation to survive. If they could purify all the water in the tidal basin, create a massive clean zone, maybe it would leave to find food elsewhere. The purifier ran at maximum capacity for 12 hours. Clean water flooded the basin. The radiation levels dropped to almost nothing. Godzilla arrived within minutes. It stood at the edge of the clean water and waited. Then its dorsal plates began to pulse. The water started boiling. In seconds, the entire basin became more irradiated than before. The purifier exploded from the feedback. Dr. Lee's readings showed radiation levels that shouldn't be physically possible. The super mutants from Vault 87 saw Godzilla as their evolution's next step. They brought FEV canisters, hoping to mutate it further, create something even more powerful. They shattered the canisters against its legs, covering its lower body in the virus. The FEV reacted violently with Godzilla's radioactive biology. Tumors erupted across its legs, each one the size of a car. But instead of weakening it, they became additional radiation sources, secondary hearts pumping atomic fire through its system. The mutations spread upward, giving it redundant organs, multiple brains, backup nervous systems. It became unkillable in ways that shouldn't exist. Moira Brown from Megaton documented everything. She called it the most important scientific discovery since the war, a living creature that violated every law of physics and biology. She theorized it wasn't from Earth at all. Maybe it came from wherever the Zetans originated, or maybe nuclear war had torn a hole in reality itself, letting things like Godzilla through. The Enclave's remnants made one last attempt. They activated their weather control station, trying to create radiation-free storm cells, force Godzilla to move through clean air that might weaken it. The storm came, but Godzilla's presence corrupted it. The rain turned to acid. The lightning carried radiation. It became a walking nuclear hurricane. If you had to choose between the NCR's diplomacy, the Brotherhood's technology, or the Legion's direct assault, which would you pick against Godzilla? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them all. 3Dog went silent on day 7. His last broadcast was just screaming. GNR's building had finally absorbed too much ambient radiation from Godzilla passing nearby. The equipment fused into radioactive glass. 3Dog himself survived but changed. He could only speak in radio frequencies now. His voice came through on every channel simultaneously, warning about the creature's movements. The ghouls of Underworld had a different experience entirely. When Godzilla passed over their museum home, they felt peace for the first time in centuries. The radiation didn't hurt them, it completed them. Some grew back skin, others developed new abilities. Telepathy through radiation waves, the power to channel atomic energy through their hands. They started calling themselves the Awakened. They claimed Godzilla was healing the world, not destroying it, returning it to its natural radioactive state. Humanity's time was over. The age of atomic evolution had begun. Vault 101 sealed its door again. The Overseer declared permanent lockdown, but the radiation seeped through the Earth itself. The dwellers started changing while still inside their supposed safety. Their Pip-Boys recorded the mutations in real time. Some grew additional eyes that could see radiation spectrums. Others developed lead-lined bones. The Vault became a catalogue of new evolutionary paths. The Brotherhood made a desperate alliance with the Railroad on day 8. They needed help evacuating the synths from the Capital Wasteland. The Institute's creations were going haywire from the radiation levels, becoming unpredictable, dangerous. Some achieved true consciousness just before their systems failed. They experienced one moment of genuine life before nuclear death. Desdemona agreed to help, but only if the Brotherhood acknowledged synths as living beings worth saving. Elder Maxson had to choose between his prejudice and preventing a synthetic uprising. He chose pragmatism. The evacuations saved 300 synths, though many had already been corrupted beyond recovery. Madison Lee discovered something crucial in the old Pentagon archives: pre-war documents about nuclear testing in the Pacific. Bikini Atoll, Castle Bravo, they'd awakened something back then. The bombs didn't create Godzilla. They just woke it up. It had been sleeping beneath the ocean for millions of years, waiting. Now it was awake and hungry. 200 years of radiation had seasoned the world for its consumption. The Great War wasn't humanity's end. It was preparation for something worse. The bombs started disappearing on day 9. Every nuclear warhead in the Capital Wasteland, the Brotherhood's stockpile. The Enclave's reserves, even the undetonated bombs in the ruins. They crumbled to dust whenever Godzilla passed within a mile. It was feeding directly on the uranium cores, growing stronger with each consumed weapon. Scribe Rothschild calculated the mathematics of horror. At its current rate of consumption, Godzilla would absorb every nuclear device on the eastern seaboard within a month. After that, it would move west. The Boomers bomber, The missiles at Hopeville, the nuclear winter at the Divide, all of it would become fuel for an unstoppable god. The children of Atom made their pilgrimage on day 10. Every believer from every settlement, thousands of them walking into Godzilla's radiation field, singing hymns about atomic division. They didn't die. They transformed into living prayer. Their bodies became transparent, filled with swirling atomic particles. They could walk through walls, phase between dimensions. They said they'd found enlightenment in nuclear fission, but not everyone transformed peacefully. Many couldn't handle the change. Their minds shattered from experiencing existence at the subatomic level. They became radiation wraiths, conscious clouds of radioactive particles that possessed anything they touched. Power armor, robots, even other humans. The possessed would scream about seeing the spaces between atoms, the vast emptiness that makes up everything. Robert House contacted me through a Securitron on day 11. Even from New Vegas, he was concerned. His probability matrices showed Godzilla reaching the Mojave within 6 months. He offered 30 million caps to anyone who could stop it, or at least redirect it toward Legion territory instead. Nobody took the contract. What good were caps when the world was ending again? The Institute tried one last experiment. They opened a teleportation relay directly beneath Godzilla, attempting to phase it out of existence. Send it to whatever dimension their molecular relay accessed between jumps. The relay exploded, but for 1 second, Godzilla flickered, existed in multiple places simultaneously. Downtown DC, the glowing sea, even pre-war Boston for a fraction of a moment. Time itself cracked around the creature. Past and present overlapped. People saw visions of the world before the bombs. Green trees, blue skies. Then Godzilla roared, and the visions shattered like glass. Time snapped back into place, but wrong. Some areas aged decades in seconds, others reversed. A raider camp became infants. A settlement's children turned elderly overnight. Father from the Institute made an announcement over Diamond City radio. He theorized Godzilla wasn't just radioactive. It was radiation itself given form, the physical manifestation of humanity's nuclear weapons. Every bomb ever detonated had contributed to its existence. It was karma made flesh, punishment for splitting the atom. The sole survivor emerged from the Commonwealth with a different theory. They'd found records in Vault 111 about pre-war experiments, something called Project K. The government knew about Godzilla before the bombs fell. They'd tried to control it, use it as a weapon against China. The Great War might have been started just to wake it up, but Godzilla served no nation. It served only the atom. Day 12 brought the convergence. Every faction sent representatives to Megaton for an emergency summit. NCR, Legion, Brotherhood, Enclave, remnants. Even the Institute attended via synth proxy. They had to work together or die separately. The plan they developed was insane. Use every remaining Vault's GECK simultaneously. Create a massive terraforming field that would transform the entire Capital Wasteland into a radiation-free zone. Starve Godzilla of its food source. Force it to leave or hibernate. Vault 101 provided their GECK. Vault 108 contributed theirs, despite the Gary clones' protests. Even Vault 87's corrupted GECK was retrieved by super mutant volunteers who knew they'd die from the clean radiation it would produce. They activated the devices at noon on day 13. The sky turned white. Pure creation energy flooded the wasteland. Grass erupted from barren soil. Trees burst from concrete. The radiation readings dropped to 0 in seconds. Godzilla's roar shook the continent. Its body began to dim. The atomic fire in its dorsal plates flickered like dying candles. It stumbled, fell to one knee. For a moment, just a moment, it looked vulnerable. Then it adapted. Its body began absorbing the GECK energy itself, converting creation into destruction. The terraformed areas started mutating wildly. Trees grew teeth. Grass became carnivorous. The clean water turned into something worse than radiation. Life force itself became poison. Godzilla stood taller than before. Its atomic breath now carried GECK energy. When it breathed on the ruins, they didn't just melt, they transformed into new elements. Buildings became forests of metal trees. Streets turned into rivers of liquid concrete. Reality itself broke down wherever the breath touched. The lone wanderer made the final decision. They'd been carrying the modified FEV virus from President Eden, the one meant to kill all mutated life. They'd refused to use it before, knowing it would commit genocide. But now, faced with Godzilla's existence, they reconsidered. They injected themselves with the virus and walked straight into Godzilla's radiation field. The virus, supercharged by radiation, spread through Godzilla's body instantly, but it didn't kill the creature. Instead, it merged with its cellular structure. Godzilla became a living plague. Its very presence would now kill anything mutated: ghouls, super mutants, even humans with the slightest radiation exposure. The Capital Wasteland emptied in hours. Everyone fled west or north. Only pure-strain humans in completely sealed environments could survive near it. Godzilla had become the ultimate expression of nuclear horror. Not just destruction, but the complete negation of life itself. It moved toward the Atlantic Ocean on day 14. Each step left craters of crystallized death. The Brotherhood's final recordings showed it entering the water near Rivet City. The aircraft carrier dissolved from proximity. The water itself turned to atomic glass for miles. As it submerged, its dorsal plates pierced the surface one last time. Then nothing. The ocean calmed. The radiation levels slowly began to decrease. But nobody returned to the Capital Wasteland. It had become a dead zone in the truest sense. Not even bacteria could survive there. Three Dog's final transmission reached across the continent. His radiation-transformed voice spoke on every frequency simultaneously. He said Godzilla hadn't left. It was sleeping beneath the waves, waiting, growing, feeding on the nuclear waste humanity had dumped in the oceans for centuries. One day, it would return, larger, stronger, and next time, there would be no surviving it. The children of Atom, those who'd become Atomites, built a cathedral from crystallized radiation where Godzilla had first emerged. They wait there still, transparent beings of living energy. They claim to hear its dreams, visions of a world made entirely of nuclear fire. No humans, no creatures, just eternal atomic perfection. Some nights, when the radiation storms are strongest, you can see its glow beneath the Atlantic, a green star burning beneath the waves. The raiders tell stories about it to scare their children. The Brotherhood uses it as a cautionary tale about the dangers of nuclear power. The NCR pretends it never existed, but I was there. I saw it rise from the earth and return to the sea. I watched it break Liberty Prime like a toy. I witnessed the transformation of thousands into things that shouldn't exist. Godzilla isn't gone. It's waiting, and all our nuclear weapons, all our radiation, all our atomic sins have only made it stronger. The Great War didn't end the world. It just prepared the feast for something far worse. The next time it rises, there won't be a wasteland left to save.